When Congressman Josh Shapiro stormed into the backroom of Capitol Hill's East Wing that morning, aides scurried like startled pigeons. His voice, usually smooth and measured, was now laced with urgency. "Where is she?" he barked. "Representative Crockett, she's in committee," a young intern offered. Shapiro narrowed his eyes. Jasmine Crockett, bright, bold, and fiercely loyal to her principles, had always been unpredictable. But today, something about her silence during last night's budget vote had shaken him. Something personal, and he had a secret to protect. Jasmine Crockett wasn't new to conflict. A former civil rights attorney from Dallas, she'd built her career on listening to people's stories, especially the ones ignored by those in power. So when the House floor buzzed last week about a bipartisan healthcare amendment, Jasmine listened. She noticed Josh's quiet approval of a policy that, on paper, looked harmless. But buried deep in the legal language was a clause that would strip funding from inner-city clinics in vulnerable communities, communities like hers. And Josh knew it. Still, he backed it. Publicly. Proudly. He called it necessary compromise. The night before the vote, Jasmine had approached him privately. "Josh, this clause, this cuts lifelines. You know who will suffer." Josh exhaled, avoiding her gaze. "We need Republican support on the main bill. I had to give them something." "You gave them people's health, Josh." But he didn't budge, and Jasmine walked away without a word. Josh now stood at the committee room door. Jasmine glanced up from her notes, cool and composed. He motioned for a word in private. In the hallway, he wasted no time. "Why didn't you back the bill? You said nothing during the session, and now you're giving interviews. Some say you're turning against your party." She looked him in the eye. "I'm turning toward the truth." "What does that mean?" he asked, his voice lowering. "It means I'm not protecting deals made in backrooms at the expense of real lives." Josh's face paled. "You wouldn't." "I already did," she said. "This morning." On the record. A week earlier, Jasmine had flown home to Dallas. Not to campaign, but to visit the Oak Street Clinic. It was the kind of place most members of Congress never saw. Peeling walls, donated equipment, tired nurses working double shifts. She met Maria there, a single mother of 3, recently diagnosed with cervical cancer. The clinic had caught it early. If funding stayed, Maria had a real chance. If not, Maria had squeezed Jasmine's hand and whispered, "Please, don't forget us when you go back." And Jasmine didn't. Josh, still reeling, leaned against the cold marble wall. "You could have come to me. Privately." "I did," Jasmine replied. "But I realized something, Josh. Loyalty doesn't mean silence. It means courage, even when it's inconvenient." Josh clenched his jaw. "Do you know what you've done?" "I reminded people who we serve," she said, softer now. "We are not here to trade lives like bargaining chips. We are here to protect them." She paused. "And maybe, I reminded you, too." The fallout was swift and loud. News outlets buzzed. Op-eds exploded. Josh faced heat for the secret clause, and Jasmine faced criticism for challenging a powerful colleague. But something else happened too. Public pressure mounted. People rallied. The clause was stripped. Funding for clinics was restored, with bipartisan support this time, as Jasmine had forced a public reckoning. Maria sent a handwritten letter 2 weeks later. "Thank you for seeing me. For seeing all of us." Jasmine folded the letter carefully, tucking it into her journal. In politics, loyalty is often measured by silence. But in humanity, it's measured by who you're willing to stand up for, even when it costs you everything. Jasmine Crockett didn't break loyalty. She redefined it, and in doing so, reminded the world that kindness, courage, and truth still have a place in every room where decisions are made. Weeks passed. The media storm died down, but its echoes lived on. In interviews, in late-night monologues, and in quiet corners of community centers across America. Jasmine had become a symbol, not of rebellion, but of responsible resistance. She wasn't just the congresswoman who spoke up. She was the one who listened. One evening, as autumn leaves danced outside her D.C. office window, Jasmine sat alone, sifting through handwritten letters. Dozens of them, from nurses in Detroit, single fathers in Chicago, young volunteers in Kansas, people who had never met her, but felt seen because she dared to stand. She smiled at one letter in particular, from a teenage girl in Baltimore. Greater than, my mom works at a clinic you helped save. She said you're brave. I want to be like you when I grow up. But maybe without the Twitter trolls lol. Jasmine chuckled. Suddenly, there was a knock at the door. It creaked open. Josh Shapiro. He stepped inside, awkward, unsure. Not the polished lawmaker the press knew, but a man carrying the weight of a realization. I came to say thank you, he said, surprising her. For what? Jasmine asked, guarded but curious. For reminding me why I ran for office in the first place. He paused, then continued. I got lost in the game. The deals. The compromises. I thought being strategic was enough. But you reminded me that principles aren't obstacles. They're the point. Jasmine nodded slowly, her expression softening. It's not too late, Josh. I know, he said. And I want to make it right. Starting now. Josh pulled a folded document from his jacket. A new bill, bipartisan, publicly drafted, and focused on expanding urban health access without loopholes or hidden trade-offs. Will you co-sponsor it with me? He asked. Jasmine took the paper, read the opening line, and smiled. Only if we name it after Maria. Josh blinked. Who's Maria? Jasmine looked out the window, remembering the woman's tired eyes and quiet strength. She's the reason this all started. The House floor was packed. A quiet tension hung in the air as the speaker called the vote. Josh and Jasmine stood side by side, not as rivals, but as redefined colleagues. As public servants who had weathered distrust, exposed uncomfortable truths, and somehow, through honesty and humility, found a better path. When the bill passed with overwhelming support, Jasmine looked up at the gallery. Maria was there, holding her daughter's hand, tears glistening in her eyes. They didn't need words. They simply smiled. Kindness doesn't always wear a smile. Sometimes, it shows up as a confrontation. As a voice shaking but steady. As someone choosing truth over comfort, not for applause, but because people's lives are on the line. Jasmine Crockett chose courage, and it reminded the world. In a time when silence is easy, speaking up is the greatest act of loyalty there is. Would you like a video script version next? Ideal for narration with visual cues, or would you prefer an audio-style voiceover version?